start and open this class like we'll open every class, which is with sacred space. So I'm going to invite you into a meditative position, whatever's comfortable for your body. And I'm going to, instead of like a still meditation, ask you to do some stretching or moving. The intention is to make more space in under your skin to actually expand your awareness of maybe shaking. What in the moment does your body need? So you can close your eyes and check in and feel what it is that your bodies, multiple bodies, physical, emotional, spiritual, etheric, tune into the multidimensional aspects of who you are and what are you needing in this moment to get present to this journey. And I'm going to invite you with eyes closed now to follow the breath all the way down. Beyond your lungs, down into the pelvis. And feel that ecstatic current, the energy in the sex center, down through the root. Take a few breaths and you're welcome to undulate. Staying active and alive in the creativity center. And imagining your roots stretching down through layers of earth towards the center of the earth. Take a few more breaths to draw nutrients up from the core of the earth to the base of your body. And feel the ascending energy on each inhale as you draw up the core of the body, feeling your ecstatic current rising up beyond the heart, through the upper chakras, branching out into the cosmos. And as we open ourselves to the greater non-physical energy, we're feeling support and guidance, pouring through unseen channels, opening to all energies that are equal to or greater than our collective circle. So feel the allies, the ancestors, angels. We welcome and invite the ascendant masters and animal spirits and all energies that will support the co-creation of our full expression in this collective coven. You know, as we gather as creatives and we put our consciousness towards our contribution through ideas and thoughts and words onto the page and into the world, we're asking for the widest possible guidance, inspiration, clarity, as well as truth-telling from the deepest level, from the depths of who we are. And we humble ourselves before this magical process. It's a mysterious journey. We humble ourselves and ask that we be surprised and open to be led, and more and more comfortable with the mystery, the uncertainty of not knowing, that we not be the authors of these books so much as that we be servants to, that which wants to come through us, that which is bigger than us, that we be messengers of a greater message. And with that intention, we take a few more breaths, just listening, opening, and crystallizing. If there's a mantra or a symbol that wants to come into our heart to guide us in this first class together, then we are open to that crystal, that seed to support the beginning of this journey. So I invite you to put your hands to your heart and just breathe until you hear a voice or see a message for the beginning of your own personal journey. Last 2 breaths. Namaste. So welcome to your first call on Zoom as a group, as the channeling your book in quarantine group, which is a really unique way to do this course, which I've led a number of times in the last decade. But this particular call is really a unique one. My kind of roadmap for where we're going is that I want in this session to cover the 5 W's. So we're going to go through who you are as writers, as a collective, as a community, what you're writing, when is the best writing time, what is it, who, what, when, where, to write, why, not just why you're writing your book. We've all kind of started off with that, but why you're doing this course, and then the how, and the how is how to get the most out of the course. That's what I hope to cover before the Q&A at the end. And the opening circle that we're going to do to get to know each other is a little bit of an experiment. It's a little unique. We're going to play with a formula that I'm sure you've all done before, which is the elevator speech of our book. Now, many of you know how to do an elevator speech, probably because it's your, safer sex speech. Like, oh, I can, in concise talk all about when I've been tested and this is, not about a prospective sleeping partner, but a prospective reader or audience member, or even maybe a prospective agent. So elevator speeches in the literary world are used a lot at book conferences. And, the idea is you get a pitch together so that if you only have 30 seconds with a agent or a publisher, then you are going to tell them in a really compelling way what your book's all about. And I know, just as you know, we're all at the beginning and we don't know what our book's all about yet. Our book hasn't really unfolded. So we want to do a rough draft and keep doing this until, you know, this particular formula that I'm going to teach you is something that you can evolve and you can have not just different incarnations. So the versions will upgrade as you get clearer and clearer on the book. But for today, we're going to give ourselves practice, permission space in order to get that concise. So the best way to conceptualize how to compel someone to read your book or what it's about is to start with the problem. We're going to answer, you know, some issue, like there's people buy books because they have a question or they have a problem or they have a need, and your book answers that problem. I know that's a radical reductionist simplification, but I would like for us to play with this idea of, you know, how there's a problem. Well, I answer this problem here. My book, you know, addresses this, and here's how. So it's kind of three parts. It's like, what's the problem? How do you, like, you know, my book answers it, and then how. And it's really kind of two parts, but I want like 3 sentences. And we're going to do this in breakout groups. So you'll be given a partner in a moment. And with that partner, if all goes well with this breakout rooms, it's my first time trying them, which is fun. With that partner, you then will get to have 3 minutes each. So, you know, talk about your book, but you're trying to get it down into kind of a, you know, no more than 3 sentences. And, you know, I'll give you a couple examples just, you know, to inspire the chat, which is, I'll take, you know, Sex Shamans, the book I just wrote, and knee-jerk reaction, literally off the tip. I haven't used this very formula for this book, so here goes. You know how we all want to know, like, ooh, how did somebody, when somebody hears that their sex shamanism exists, they want to know, how did you become a sex shaman? What made you that? Well, what I've done is I've taken the personal narratives from 20 different authors and shared those stories, so that when the reader goes on a journey of reading these stories, they then realize that there's a lot of different ways to become a sex shaman. It's no one way. That would be an example. Okay. So you want to take your book and say, you know how, here's the problem. And you can change the first line if you want, but that's just to get you, make it more conversation. Okay. And then here's one more example. Okay. So Don't Drink the Punch, my first novel, I would say, you know how people try to read about Tantra and it gets dry and kind of heady in the, you know, in theory. Well, what I've done is made an adventure story that takes place in India in a cult, and infused it with tantric teachings, so that the reader gets a transmission of what it's like to be in a tantra ashram, right? So you want to say, here's the problem, here's how I solve it, and here's like the reader's, you know, the benefit to the reader, that kind of thing. Okay, so those are a couple of examples. Permission to fumble through it, to be messy with it. And even if you don't know the problem that your book is solving, just play with this and see what benefit you get out of it. All right, so with those instructions, I'm gonna see about getting us into breakout rooms. Okay, so I'm going to put us, okay, so here's the idea. I'm going to put us now into 11 rooms. You should have a partner, and I'm going to give it 6 total minutes, and the idea is that you and your partner would split that 3 minutes each. And then we'll come back as a group and we'll go through, we'll go around the circle and each person will share, just like 30 seconds, no more than a minute, about their book in elevator speech form. So that's the assignment. Any questions before we begin? Okay, great.
Are we gonna see, I don't see the partner that I'm with. Should I see that by now?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna click a button here, but let's all cross our fingers that this works.
Wait, so I'll just say you're going to see on your screen an invitation to join a room. So press join.
Great.
Even if it takes a few moments, wait and don't leave the room and someone will join.
Beautiful. Thank you, Narkis.
So you might want to give us a little more than 6 minutes.
When 3 minutes is up, in case we lose track of time.
I will say it, but I don't know whether or not you'll hear me. So go ahead.
No, you can. We're not going to hear you,
type
but
it.
you can broadcast. There's an option you'll see, broadcast a message to all, and then you can write, and we see.
Perfect. Yeah. So yes, I'll give you a little bit of fluff time because of the technical stuff, but let's intend for 3 minutes each. All right. Enjoy. Let's see. Oh, how fun. It tells me who's with who. Okay, cool. I think that should do it. Okay, I'm starting the timer now. So Peter, we're in breakout rooms right now. I don't know if you can hear me. But we've got another 3 minutes.
Hey, love, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
So
okay, cool.
we have 1 more minute in breakout rooms. What people are talking about is, their books, and you want to think about this, which is, what's the problem that your book solves? Because we're going to do an icebreaker, and everyone's going to introduce themselves and their book, but they're only going to have 30 seconds. So that means you say, like, how people, about your book, how people are always forgetting, they're working on their health, but they don't, remember or prioritize what their health goals are. Well, what I've done is made a simple list of 9 S's, or, whatever it is, so that they keep it with them all the time, and they're always bettering themselves. So it's just like this is the formula. How, here's what I've done, so that here's the benefit to the reader. So if you can put your book into that formula, you'll be good. Okay, so I'm going to
Got it. Cool.
And great.
Yeah, there was a button that we needed to push to leave the breakout room.
It's okay. I've pushed the button for everybody.
You're pulling everybody back.
Yeah, that's right.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Right on.
It's like Star Trek. We're out in little pods, and you're pulling us all back in with tractor beam.
Yeah, I felt that.
Michael, I love your analogy.
It's
I
like,
got that from Jim, because Jim is a rocket scientist.
fun.
He inspired me.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. Yeah, and while we're still coming back, we gained Peter Peterson too. He's calling in from India, so that's fun.
Hey.
Yay.
So it's not Monique. It's actually Peter.
Yeah,
I saw Monique on the.
one and the same.
Quick
Indeed.
comment.
Welcome back. Wonderful. Fun. Well, now we get to hear the harvest of our little experiment. And what we're going to do is, okay. So, Bink. Yeah, so what we're going to do is, I'll just call on names to go around the circle, and you'll introduce yourself, where you are, where in the world you'll be writing your book, because I know there's a number of you who are quarantining, not even at home. And we've got 2 participants from Bali, which is really fun. It's 2 a.m. for them, so they won't be live with us, but they'll be in the journey. And after saying your name, where you're from, you're going to start off with your how, and you have like less than a minute to do your whole introduction. Okay, so I'm, and the rest of us are listening with an open heart, celebrating, giving you full permission to like stumble through it, no pressure. It's really just a supportive circle for each of us to get a flavor or a feel of what we're co-creating in this group. All right, Michael, you get to go first.
Yay. I'm Michael, and I am here in San Diego. And I'm going to be writing the book. You know how people get into marriages, and then they get divorced, and then they marry somebody else, and then they, go through that process, or they're in relationship, but then they break up, and then they're in another relationship and they break up. Or people are in these relationships that last forever, but they're not really happy. They might be together for 40 years, but they were the 40 most unhappy years of their life because of resentments or whatever. My book is about mastering the art of relationship, and the different elements that we've discovered in our 18-year marriage that have made harmony a central element, and given us contentment within our lives because of our relationship, and taken us to that next level where the relationship can help us into further enlightenment.
Thank you. Beautiful. And then we can just kind of celebrate that with some fingers. All right, Jim.
There's the mute button. I found that. So I'm Jim Adams, and as Michael alluded to, I'm a retired NASA executive, and I'm currently in South Carolina in sequestration with my mother, who literally is just hours from transitioning.
Oh.
So we've been here since March 2nd, my sisters and I. But what a wonderful opportunity to do something that's been on my heart and mind for a long time, and it feels like existence is saying now's the time. So you know how there's a lot of folks that don't understand space exploration. My book explains some of the biggest misunderstandings, and I've taken some of the best stories I've told around the world and transcribed them into an easy to read compendium. Michael told me I could use the word compendium. So I hope you buy it.
Beautiful. Good. Thank you, Jim. Dave.
Well, you know how, so I'm in Carlsbad, California, not too far from Kamala Devi and Michael. You know how people, they do so much to learn how to be in relationship, how to love fully, how to make relationships work, and still, from what I've experienced, what I've seen, just really miss the mark. So my book is a true to life mystical love story that began with a shooting star, involved beating 2 terminal cancers, and ended with a terrifying dash across the border 3 hours before it was shut down to Mexico because my wife left me in the middle of the pandemic. What this did is initiate me into the way of the Magi, which is a forgotten code that has allowed me to love fully, transforming me, not just saving my wife's life, but something that I came here to share.
Woo! Thank you. Okay. Next, we're going to Françoise.
I'm Françoise, psychologist, sexologist, tantra teacher. I live in San Diego. And you know how you go to classes, you go to workshops, and then you think, I forgot it all. So my booklet is a series of exercises you can find at each page and rekindle either a hot date or to make love longer or to find a way to kiss or simple things. Not much explanation, just the exercise. When you look at it, you try, you keep it or you let it go.
Mm-hmm. Aho. Thank you, Françoise. Excellent. Good. Brian.
Brian Wimmer in Rochester, Minnesota. For most of us, when we purchase a house, it's by far the most expensive purchase we make in our lives, yet how much do most people know about houses? How they work, how they don't work, how to take care of them, et cetera, et cetera. And very few homeowners have the time to take to research all these things and figure it out. Whereas I've been in and around the industry for so many years, and I seem to have the ability to explain things in ways people can understand, I would like to help them become better homeowners, more satisfied, and better able to take care of their their homes and live in them well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brian. Yay. Good. And Christiane, is that how you say your name? Christiane? Great.
Hi, my name is Christiana Meyer. I'm born in Germany. I'm in Ibiza at the moment. That's where I live. You know how so many women are disconnected from their bodies, from their sexuality, from their true divinity. So my book is about my own journey of how I was completely disconnected from myself and lived that life that just everyone wanted me to live, but felt so desperate and very much unhappy. And from the woman that I am right now and how I live my life, teaching and sharing that beautiful work of the feminine with many people, many women around the world.
Thank you. Woohoo! Excellent. Good. Daphne's next.
Hi, my name's Daphne. I'm a performer, teacher, coach in the realm of conscious relating, and I'm based in Montreal. So, you know how we experience loss and heartbreak, and it can be absolutely devastating when all our dreams are shattered, and it can be so overwhelming that we just don't really know how to move through it. It can be a very confusing process. Sometimes we even stay there for years. Or for some people, we're so ill-equipped to deal with this sense of grief that we just deny it and repress it. And we're seeing that on a kind of social level in regards to, for example, something as huge as climate change and what's happening. It's like, it's a huge thing. So my interest is to share my personal narrative with grief and how this has been a journey of initiation spiritually, and to offer a perspective around grief that can be quite alchemical, so that we can restore our faith in our dreams and love again.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daphne. Woohoo! Good. Okay, good. So I want to, encourage everyone to continue with the love shower. It's really important after each person shares that they feel received. And just to prepare you, my screen shows Alexandra, Kali, Adam, Taina next, and so that'll be the next few, starting with Alexandra.
Hello. So I'm in Berlin. I'm originally Polish, and I've always been writing in English, pretty much. So, okay. You know how we can get very stuck in being adults and performing our roles and responsibilities, and we can get so dry, I would say, stuck in four walls and so disconnected from our nature. So this book is a way to reconnect us to our wild sensual nature, it's a journey into the jungle, taking the human body into the jungle. It's a journey to rewater our beings and bring the juices and the life joy back into our life.
Woohoo! Good, beautiful. Thank you for the transmission. And Kali.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and I am speaking to you all the way from a little tiny rural village 3 hours out of Cape Town in South Africa. And you know how the human condition seems to be one of polarity, of duality, of a roller coaster ride of sometimes feeling ecstatic and happy, and then suddenly the next moment really depressed. How we split from our heart and our mind and our sexuality, and so much about how we experience life is this polarity. And my life journey, it manifested as extreme illness, dis-ease, and in its extreme, it can manifest as things like schizophrenia, depression, many illnesses. And so my book is about my journey of healing and my searching for the answers to bring myself back into wholeness. And heal comes from the word whole. And so it's really about unity consciousness and drawing on many of my teachers who've gifted me great lessons along the way.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Kali. Woohoo. Good. Adam.
You know how people are always, oh, my name is Adam, and I'm here just outside of San Diego, California. And you know how people are always talking about they want to travel, but they don't want the tourist experience? Well, Gringo Larry's Seaside Cantina, a collection of embellished stories from the road. And the key is that Gringo Larry's Seaside Cantina is not so much a place as it is a state of mind.
Excellent. Woohoo. Thank you, Adam. Good. Taina. Oh, unmute. Can't hear you.
I'm Taina, and I'm in Encinitas, California. Loving it down here. Happy to be quarantining here, although I could have been in Bali. That's all right. And my story is called The Lotus Flower. You know how most stories of the Enlightenment process you hear about are men, you know, whether it's Christ or Buddha or even modern day, like Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra. These are all men that you hear about. Well, my tale is of a modern day mystic and her journey from immigrating to the United States from Mexico and growing up in the hood of Chicago and all of the things that that entails, and to later on being initiated into an old school esoteric process with an enlightened master and becoming a bodhisattva. It's a journey of true self-love and of ascension and of being of service to the divine. And so it's my story, but I haven't quite decided yet if it's going to be more of memoir style or told through the story, kind of like The Alchemist, where it's fictional, but they're all based on true stories. So that's where I'm at.
Beautiful. Woohoo. Thank you. Okay, great. So next we have Peter.
Greetings, everyone. Wonderful to be with you. My name's Peter Peterson. I'm from Northern California, and I am in the small town of Rishikesh, India at the moment, and I don't think I'm getting out of here anytime soon. I'm going to be here for probably another month, a month and a half. And I've been writing a book called The 9S Path to Longevity, and it's all about creating a wellness checklist and posting this wellness checklist all over your house, like on the bathroom mirror or the refrigerator door or the dashboard of your car, and just seeing this wellness checklist and saying it and then living it and helping to inculcate these wellness items into your everyday life. So they're no longer, it's just like something you do every so often. It becomes like an autonomic process on an everyday basis. And I have 9 S's, and each S is a different component to your health. And they're silence and sleep and salads, seeds and smoothies, swimming, sweating and stretching, sharing, sex, singing, sun, and smiling.
Woohoo!
So plan is to bring them all together and create a little story for all of them.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. Excellent. Good. So next, as I go through, I'm looking at, let's see. Oh, Liz, I wanted to give you a list of who's next, but hold on one second. So There we go. So after Liz, hold on one sec. After Liz, I see Brianne, Corey, Leanna, and then Linda. So Liz, you're up.
Thank you. So my name's Liz, and right now I'm in Colorado, and it's snowing, like a foot of snow. That's fun. You know how you see certain people in life, and maybe you'll project onto them like, oh, that person has their shit together. They must have had like such an easy life, and like, you know, there's this sort of like, oh, damn, that must be great. Well, I am telling the story of rape, incest, and loneliness, depression, and abuse, and how that has been, those have been allies and were able to help me transform and allow a deeper connection to myself and to this world and this planet, and how my own soul has been revealed through the cracks that happened to me.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, Brianne.
Hi, this is Brianna.
Brianna. There you are.
And Cribire. And I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, currently, hoping to make my way to the shore very soon. So you know how some people say that they're just not good at receiving, and maybe you are one of those people, or your partner's one of these people, or you know someone who says this and this is part of their identity. So receiving is all around us, and we do it every moment, every breath. And my book is about how we already know how to do all of this, but how to really embrace receiving and to integrate it into part of our lives to be able to experience receiving from a more fulfilling place.
Oh, now receive our applause. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, I think Corey?
Yes. So you know how our culture, society encourages speed of interaction, shallowness of conversation, speed dating, etc. Well, my book offers a guide to dive down, grab a piece of your deeper self, and bring that into the present moment. So there's lots of personal anecdotes from my life. There's a plethora of practices, exercises for the reader, so that they can bring more of their whole self into every moment.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good. Leanna, am I saying that right?
Yes, Leanna. My name is Leanna, and I'm in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This is not the real background, but I'm close to this place. And I'm a sex and relationship coach and healer, and I'm playing around with my ideas right now. But you know how there is a lot of fear around expressing one's own desires and their own sexual hopes and desires and needs. So I have developed this word sexfulness and practices around that based on all of the experiences I've had throughout my life. And I want to bring forth the possibility for people to have more pleasure in their life and how they can get to that point through anecdotes, through various kinds of exercises that I've put together through all the different kinds of modalities that I've been studying over my lifetime and through all my experiences. So I hope to help people transform their fear into pleasure and love, and to take risks to live a life that is much more full of pleasure.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda. And as you're getting ready, Linda, and putting yourself off mute, I'll tell you that next we have Diane, Mindy, Narquise. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I keep having different words come up on this. So, you know how you can do healing work or processes to release limiting beliefs, judgments, and stuffed emotions, only to have them keep coming up again and again, stuffing them again and again? Well, my book is Rainbow Healing Method. It is a simple method that helps you to identify and release stuffed emotions. But what makes it unique is that it's combined, as well as also the tension and blocked energies that these produce. What makes it unique is that it's combined with how to develop and apply the belief system of true acceptance and the emotional habits that integrate lasting change. These heartfelt practices take you beyond releasing limits and stuffed emotions by healing the automatic judgments and conditioning causing suppression of feelings, needs, and self-expression.
Beautiful. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, Diane.
Hi, guys. So, I'm in Oceanside, California, not far from San Diego. And you know how we talk about manifesting or putting it out there, law of attraction wise, to get what you want? What I have devised is a right burn technique where I actually give you a technique where you can learn how to draw in what you want and let go of what no longer serves you in a burn journal. And the burn journal will come with a book as well as an actual kit. Ooh. That comes in this cute little box with rice paper, and it gives you the entire technique to bring in what you want and let go of what no longer serves you, almost like a little witchcraft kit, but for people, for everybody.
Woohoo! I love it. Thank you. Good. And then I think we had Narquise next. Oh, Mindy. Yes. Yeah. Mindy.
Hi. I'm Mindy from Encinitas, California. And you know how when you think that if you felt all your emotions, you would render yourself insane? Well, I always had that feeling even as a kid. And when I hit my early 20s, it happened to me. I went unconscious at a party, and when I woke up, I lived in a different world. If anybody's ever read any of the novels by Philip K. Dick, I went into a world of paranoia, terror, fear, totally shrunk into less than the size of a quark. And so my book is about my journey through living in this fucking horrible dream for 36 years and how I completely surrendered my life, and I didn't know it, but that was my way out.
Thank you. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, Narquise.
Hi, I'm from Israel. I'm currently in Tel Aviv. I want to read all of your books. And my work is around female leadership. I mostly work with career women. So the book, you know how many times women that are looking to succeed in their careers are exhausted and feel lost because they fail to tap into their biggest resource, which is their body. So my book is about how sexual awakening can spark joy and fulfillment in the lives of career women. I'm going to share my personal journey of my sexual awakening with my relationship with my husband through adolescence, and also the experience I have working with hundreds of women leaders in these techniques around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet. So we are moving on. I'm gonna name Clarity, Aviv or Kadesh, and then I've got Wendy and Nathan. Starting with Clarity.
Hello, I'm Clarity from San Diego. You know how people can feel really just disconnected to themselves and to source. And my book, the title right now is Your Angels Are Here. And it's an inspirational light read that helps to tap you into the source, your enlightenment, your connection to the divine and to your angels that are always there for you.
Woohoo! Excellent. Thank you. Sweet. Aviv.
Hello. So I will be writing the book from Iceland. And you know, when it's like you go into the esoterics and there is so much mysticism, it's all very mystified, and it's like a mist that disturbs the clarity to be seen. So my book is about bringing that clarity and to present how, in a transcultural way, the esoterics are derived from, like, with reason from logic, and have an understanding of how to just calculate it alone.
They say sneeze on the truth. Thank you. Do you want us to call you Aviv or Kadesh?
Kadesh or Aviv.
Okay, Kadesh. Thank you. I'm happy you're with us. Yay.
Thank you.
And who did we say? Oh, Wendy is next. I don't have a video for you, but let's hear from you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, you see Wendy up there, but my name is Gwyneth, and Wendy is inside the name Gwyneth, and I have to figure out how to change that up there. I'm talking to you from the forest in a small little area north of Montreal where we have lots of snow. And my book is called On the Edge and Crooked: How My Son's Dyslexia Helped Me to Understand Sacred Relationship. And you know how they say you can't solve a problem you need to solve a problem by creating a new paradigm model. And so when my son's specific diagnosis of dyslexia came out, I understood that he had already what I was searching for, because I had studied quite a few years already with Tom Kenyon, and the brain skills that I was looking to achieve, he already had them. So he became my teacher as a young boy. And based on all the education, the cultural upbringing, the religious training we have, we see, if I have this circumstance, then I should do this. Well, he has taught me to turn it upside down, mirror it, and turn it on 30 degrees and look at life differently. And so this is an anecdotal record of all the different things I've tried that are transformed in very, very different, unusual ways. And yeah, that's it.
That's touching, Gwenda. Thank you. Woohoo. Good. Nathan. We have to take you off mute, Nathan.
Okay, I think I figured that out.
We can hear you. Yay.
All right, hi, my name's Nathan. I'm in Orem, Utah, which is part of Utah. It doesn't really matter which part, they're all the same. My story has a lot to do with my best friend growing up was Spider-Man. So it's really about superheroes, kind of. And the idea is that there is a group of friends whose power, his ability is that it's bad luck. And anything that can go wrong will go wrong, amplified, multiplied. And the absolute worst things you can imagine happen. The harder he tries, the harder it gets. And he gets to the point where like he's just trying to avoid people because he just feels like he's going to cause more problems than he could ever possibly solve. And somewhere after all of the angst, he figures out, someone that shares with him that he's looking at it all wrong. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. He just needs to stop trying to control it. And when he surrenders to that, the whole tone changes and everything goes right as long as he believes that it will. It doesn't really matter what it feels like right now. So that's the basic concept.
Fun, Nathan. It was really fun for me just to watch everybody laughing with you. And so whether or not you're trying to write a comedy, you've already got a comedic response. So thank you. I am so delighted. First I want to check, did I miss anybody? Did we go the full circle? I think we're good. Okay. And it is powerful to be in a circle of art authors, to just feel yourself for a moment. It's like I'm in the ranks of other creators, and we're all pregnant. And I want to use that as a kind of a, the pregnancy metaphor, I'm sure we'll get a lot of mileage out of later, but to be in a circle, and some of you your ego might get uncomfortable and say, wait, I'm not an author, or, start to compare yourself to other people and their process and this and that. And it's so important in this journey for you to get in touch with your best version of self and your personal best beyond any comparison. So take a moment to anchor in your nervous system how unique, like everyone that shared is such a snowflake. There is no comparison between, the frequency that you are and what you bring and what anybody else brings. And a big part of your success in this course will come from your knowing that nobody else in the world could write your book. And so and the universe isn't complete unless you're in your full expression. It's really kind of your spiritual obligation to sing your song, and to tell your story. And in the journey, on the process, a lot of obstacles are going to come up, and resistance is going to come up, and everything's going to arise internally and externally. And your work is to remember, is to remember that this is a climb, this is a practice, this is, putting your butt in the chair and doing your hours, and it's okay to show up sloppy and messy, and it's okay even if at the end of this journey, you don't finish the book, but you get some hours in. It's like, it's okay if by the end of the journey you do finish the book and you hate your book, because at least if you have a sloppy draft, it's movement in the direction. It's you, like every great masterpiece started somewhere. And, if you're truly called to be an author, many authors, some of the best authors hate their first, few books. And it's important to be like, and they had to write it to get through it. It's almost like learning who they become to create their next, creation. And so I share that with you because this isn't about like inflating everyone's ego and, oh, you're going to write the next bestseller or masterpiece, or this is about who you need to become to be the messenger, that you're called to be. And this writing course in this next 90 days is this immense cauldron, for you to bring yourself into and let yourself be transformed. So we've covered who you are in the circle of the creative coven, and then the what you're writing, the when to do it. I want to suggest, I've sent out emails to everyone and you have a schedule. I want to suggest that you listen to week 1. If you haven't already, which many of you have, then do it this week. And also listen to week 2 before our next Zoom call. Now, our Zoom calls, the win is that every other week we do Zoom calls, and there's an extra one at the graduation. But I highly recommend that you in your calendar put in on Thursdays like a dedicated writing day where you say, okay, make sure that I'm caught up on Thursdays so that I can show up. Because Thursdays is also a great day to meet with your accountability buddy. So in addition to listening to the audio, which by the way, the majority of the course and all the teachings is all audio, the Zoom calls that we're doing is more of a community question answers, like coaching to move through any resistance that's coming up or any technical questions you have. So you're listening to the audio, you're showing up for the Zoom calls, and then you're also talking to your accountability buddies. Now, with accountability buddies, I know a lot of people are in different time zones, and some of you may not be that interested in participating in that, or it might be hard to connect with each other. What I recommend, we're going to, just as we hit the random button, put you in little breakout rooms. My first choice would have been to say, hey, let's do those same partners for breakout, but Michael's going to be in charge of that arbitrary process. My first choice is that you say, okay, I'm going to rotate with different people like a puja, because what you'll find is every other week, if you have a new accountability buddy, you'll get a new reflection on your book. You'll think of your book in different ways. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You're changing, loosening it up, and you're not getting attached to seeing your book in a certain way because of the reflection you're getting. And totally trust those of you that want to self-organize and want to, have your own accountability buddy or do it your own way. So Michael will manage that. And every time after the video, I'll post on, he'll post on Facebook a list, and then it'll be your responsibility to connect with your writing buddy. We suggest on the Thursdays, but it could be sometime during the week. You two can negotiate that. So that is the win. I invite you also to start tracking. Right now, this week, all we're doing is brainstorming and getting creative and getting sloppy with our crayons and our colors and really generating, the content, putting all the rough clay on the wheel before we start to shape our books. But notice when you're most creative. Notice when you have the time and energy to write, and actually track how many hours you spent brainstorming, because that tracking process is going to give you clues to when you're at your best or when you're most inspired, and that's very valuable for you in weeks to come. So the where, besides where in the world you are, this idea of having a writing space is, and having it the way that inspires you is also something you want to start tuning into when you do your own project planning about the next weeks to come. I'll leave it there so that we can focus on the how to get most out of this class. So there we are. There's a lot that I could say about how, to get the most out of the class, because you already have your winning strategies, your habits, You know, most people on this class, because, you know, you're writing a book because you're an expert or have experience or have, you know, most of us are teachers or healers, or it's a really advanced group. And I know that social animals get a lot. Part of the accountability buddies is showing up for each other, and that's really going to be helpful. But the other deeper thing is showing up to this as a spiritual practice, like looking at this book course as not just, I mean, right now we have this unique time, and some of us are like, oh, cool, good time to start writing. And then as life gets busier and things change, because we're all in mystery, we could even ask ourselves, like, how did I think I was going to write a book during this time? You know, this is a crazy time. There's all kinds of energies coming through, in addition to the normal resistance that every writer experiences. But my invitation is that you commit to this as a personal growth journey. And I don't mean personal growth to cultivate your personality and your PR and your public image. I mean like a deep dive into, you know, who am I at the soul level? You know, what am I here to do? And if it's 10 hours a week, or, you know, just 2 hours a day, or however I decide to show up, I'm not just showing up to my book and my readers and trying to, you know, trying to get myself across to others, but I'm showing up to the deepest part of myself with the curiosity of like, how I can, you know, what is the shape of my heart? Who am I truly, and how can I be that in the world? And if you come from the humility of like, hey, this is actually, we talked about this in the first class, this is actually an opportunity to be God's secretary, to humble ourselves before something that's much bigger than us and that's coming through us. And you do that 2 hours a day, or, you know, 5 hours on the weekends, whatever it is. If you keep doing that in repetition, you're building this muscle that by the end of, you know, they say it takes 30 days to build a habit. And we're looking at, you know, 3 30-day periods. It's like, you will not just build a habit, you will transform yourself. And the final, you know, piece is to show up each of these Thursdays, to show up and be like atoned. There's a place of like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can all week, but then I'm going to start again the next week. I'm going to give myself another chance. I'm going to like, and I say that because a lot of people, as the course gets going, the commitment might wane, and I'm inviting you not just to say, it's the start, this, I've got all, you know, you feel the juicy energy we have today, but to show up every Thursday with, this is the same juicy energy as the first day. So anchor that into your nervous system and keep bringing that even until the last week. So that's my invitation. And then let's just be embracing of all of the resistance that comes up. Instead of resisting the writing block, let's embrace it's gonna arise. Let's, you know, not shame ourselves, not judge it, but instead we're gonna love it into the inspiration again. So having shared the 5 W's and the H, right? So we now know who, what, when, where, why, and how to get the most out of this class. And the why, I know we're all posting on the Facebook page. I want to open it up to questions and see if there's anything that about the course itself that will help you in the next 2 weeks until we meet again. And by the way, all questions that you have between now and then, I will take on Thursdays. I want to be clear that I'm in the class. I'm like many of you, I'm going to be deep in my writing process. I'm not reading anybody else's books or like chapters, or, you know, this is not a reading critique course. So it's important that if you have questions, post them on the group, and then on Thursdays I'll go into the group and be available to answer any questions then. I'm not available for, you know, in between thoughts, ideas. You know, it's like, I love you guys, I'll feel you in the internets, but I can't I can't make myself available to 30 people all week long. So having said that, this will be a great chance. And then also the Accountability Buddies conversations has a bit of a structure to it. And I already posted a page on the group, and it says, these are the questions you ask. You know, you want to say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you do? Okay, why? What do you need to do to, you know, do more? And then tell me some of the challenges that are coming up for you, and let's brainstorm some of those together. And then, you know, it's a peer coaching thing. Like, one person gets full attention, you kind of brainstorm, you're like, great, your turn. And then the other person goes through those questions, and you kind of coach each other from a place of willingness to embrace the resistance, you know, celebrate what's to celebrate, mourn what didn't, you know, happen, and then to actually, you know, hold each other accountable. And I've had accountability buddies who have wanted to check in every day. You know, they text each other and they say, hey, this is how many pages, or this is how many hours. You guys can set up however you want to do it, but the request is at least once to keep the energy flowing. So having said that, what questions do you have? Diane, and then Francoise.
So if we start doing this 10-hour, so we're doing 2 hours a day, just say for this first week, what do you suggest we do within those 2 hours? I'm asking because I feel like brainstorming won't take 10 hours, but I'm open to what you say. I'd like to know what you recommend in terms of actual actions.
Great. Okay, so everybody who's read the listened to the first week knows that there's like 5 homework assignments for the first week. So every time you listen to a week, you've got the 5 homework assignments, and you do all those 5. And if you're like, hey, I've done all that, then you can go on to the next week, and there'll be 5 more homework assignments. And then, you know, because it is a self-paced program, you know, if you thoroughly feel you've done everything there is to do in that recording, all of you have access to all 9 recordings plus 2 bonus courses. So it is self-paced. And you can show up on, you know, to the community calls and feel the synergy. And it's important that you also know that if you're just flying through and you're like, ooh, I'm cruising, maybe you talk to your accountability partner and see if there's something that you're like, wow, am I overriding or bypassing or going too quickly? But in your case, you know, I mean, honestly, with the idea that you have, Diane, and how developed it is and how much you've pre-put into this, you could be like, I'm going to spend this whole week brainstorming my marketing plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could 10 hours to brainstorm a marketing plan is minimal. You could probably, you know what I'm saying? Your book's worthy and ready of starting to look ahead and say, how can I brainstorm more about the book? Yeah. Okay. Francoise. Volume.
Logically, what is the best way to format your book in words? And do you start with a table of content or just by pages?
Great. So when you listen to the first week, it will tell you how to brainstorm. And we will all be very, very deliberate in structuring our book. But it has, first we unstructure, you know, we get really messy and creative, and then we're going to structure. And then, yes, we will do an outline. First first a table of contents, then an outline, then a blueprint. And so all of that's to come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Any other hands? Good. I see Linda and I see Brian. Linda.
So,
and this will be, and that'll be the last two questions that we have time for. Go ahead.
Regarding the accountability partners, as you said, some people might be not really want to do that. What if we get matched with someone who doesn't want to do it?
Well, if you don't want to do it, then don't, then take yourself out of the pool. Write to Michael and say, no, I'm not in it. So it's optional, but everybody who's in it is willing to, show up and support each other.
Okay, great.
Brian.
Sure if this is a question or something you can just comment on, but by nature, I tend to be a creative problem solver, and I'm weaker in organization and detail.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of going back and forth between I'm creating structure, which I understand that I need in the ways that you pointed out with the river analogy, and then brainstorming and how the brainstorming can get kind of all over the place. And so it's going back and forth and then organizing later if I need to. It's a bit of a struggle, I guess.
Okay, so yes, I feel the polarity, but can you clarify your question?
Well, I guess I'm afraid that when I start brainstorming, it gets messy, and then how do I pull that back into the structure?
Okay, great. So this is like a deep paradox of the creative process. And I want to invite people to get, we all have two sides of the brain, and give yourself especially if you're a really, really structured person, then getting really messy and allowing yourself to be creative or to be artistic or to be non-linear is super important. You want to stretch that. And then there's actually like this thing where we're going back and forth in the beginning so that we're bringing both in, but there's a point at which we're going to have to do a lot of structure, and it's going to be really painful for a lot of people. Like actually the first, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks of this, it's like structure. And you're like, some people are like, I love it. I want all structure. And then we're going to switch back over to the white hot writing. And then you're going to be writing and creating, and you'll be like, wow, I'm off the map. And it gets really uncomfortable. But then you come back to the rewriting part, and the rewriting is all like, okay, now it's syntax and grammar, and let me restructure this and that. So my point being, some of us have strengths on one side or the other. It's important to strengthen your strengths and also strengthen your limitations, and to allow yourself to go to both. Otherwise, your end product's going to be lopsided. So, I want to empathize that one side or the other will be uncomfortable for everyone, but you didn't sign up for this in order to this isn't like 90 days of being comfortable, right? This is 90 days of stretching yourself to create something you've never created before. So be willing to lean on your strengths and lean on your weaknesses.
And by the way, listening to week 1 again prior to this call, I got up and a little thought in my head shot through that, gee, this isn't just helpful for writing a book. This is how to live.
Excellent. Beautiful. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure. And I'm going to just ask you to take a few final breaths as you look at the group and you feel the commitment that you've made to be a part of a creative coven and to, just dive into this exploration. None of us will be the same people, throughout this journey, but really on graduation day. And I also want to say with deep acceptance that, though there's 30 people in the class, not all of us are going to make it to the graduation day. And, I invite you all to stay as true, to your guidance system throughout the process. And let's just take a final moment, as we did the first time, we met, for those of you that were on the call, to just put your hands on your heart. You just made your first elevator pitch for your own book. So you can imagine holding your book there against your heart and feel yourself celebrating with your coven, the birth and the creation of this labor of love. And before we close, notice something you didn't notice before, like how you feel about your book, what message it has for you. Notice a little detail that wants your attention right now. Big breath. And then an applause for the group. Blessings.